Hello, hello, good evening. It's Monica from Life is Art, and it's Wednesday. Let's create. It truly is Wednesday today. Phew, got it right. Yes. On Sunday, I was thinking it was Wednesday already, but it wasn't. It was only Sunday. So it's Wednesday, and we are going to be creating a Take a Peek card. Said that really fast. Take a peek card. So it's a fun little fun fold, and it doesn't take a lot of effort, but it's a cute one. So we're going to be looking at papers from our featured collection for the month of October, which is Home for Christmas. And I've got my silver and white Christmas sparkly fingernails going this evening. And so Home for Christmas, we're going to be using some of the coordinating cardstock and the paper pattern and sticker sheet. And then we're also going to be using the stamp of the month for October. And it's here in the back of the catalog on page 51, and it's called From All of Us. And the interesting thing about this particular stamp of the month is that you can get this stamp of the month with thin cuts if you would like. And so there's information online and in the catalog about people who are VIPs, because as you know, if you're a VIP and you put in a $60 order, you get your stamp of the month for free. And that is still the case. You will still get your stamp of the month for free. And there is also a reduced price for the thin cuts if you would like to purchase both the stamp and the thin cut. So yes, that is awesome. And if you're buying them otherwise, then you can get the, if you're not a VIP, you can get the stamp set for $6.75, and then there is a fee for the thin cuts as well. I got mine without the thin cuts because you all know I like to fussy cut. If you're joining me live tonight, just say hello or howdy so I know you're here. And if you're watching later, you can just say replay. I'm going to start out using a piece of one of the coordinating colors for this Home for Christmas collection, which is the pine. It's a gorgeous, lovely, dark green color. And I want to use the dark side of the cardstock for my card. And I need to do some scoring for this fun fold. So I'm going to line it up on my Versamat, grab my bone folder and my ruler. So this piece has been cut to 10.5 by 5.5. Now this will make a finished card size of 3.5 by 5.5. So it's a little bit narrower than a standard card size, but it will still fit in a standard envelope because it's just a little narrower. You could play around with the measurements and create it to be the full size of 4.25 by 5.5. But I decided to stick with this skinnier one, and yeah, so that's what I'm doing. Hey Joanne, nice to see you're watching, and Heather's here too. Hello, hello. So we've got our 10.5 by 5.5, and we're going to score it at 3.5 inches to start. So lining ourselves up at 3.5 inches, give it a nice score. Then we're going to score it at 6.5. So 3.5, then 6.5. And then we're going to score it at 7. There we go. And then we're going to score it at 10 inches. So we'll go over that one more time. We're scoring at 3.5, 6.5, 7, and 10. And we want to fold all of these with a mountain fold because we've got, this is our dark side. And so we want to fold them all towards the inside. The light side will be towards the inside. So I'm going to take my first one. To create a mountain fold, you push up on the crease line and down on the paper. And then because I use my Versamat, I do that extra check just to make sure I line up along the top and bottom so nothing's gone crooked, because you never know when you're using a ruler. And then we're going to go to the next one, and we're going to push up from behind and fold that down. Make sure everything lines up. And then crease it down. Hello, Marilyn. Nice to see you're watching. Then we're going to go to this next one, which is really close. It's only 1/2 inch from the last one. And we're going to push up. So the crease line goes up the mountain. And line everything up. This one's a little bit crooked, just a hair. So we make our little adjustment there before we crease it down good. It's always easier to adjust it before you do the final crease. And then we're going to go to the last one. Again, we're pushing the crease up the mountain. And we can fold this one over. This one's a little bit harder to line up, so we're just going to hope that it's done right. The little 1/2 inch tab at the end is always the hardest one to line up. Okay, so now if we think that this first large panel that's all by itself, doesn't have a little tab on it, this is the front of our card. So then if we take all the rest, this becomes the back of our card. This becomes a little bit of a spacer. This becomes the interior, and this becomes a little tab that we're going to use to adhere to the front. Okay, so when we close our card, that portion is going to lay flat, and our finished amount will be 6.5. So the first thing we need to do is add a little bit of adhesive on this tab, and this is on the dark side because we just stuck it on there and saw that that's the side that needs to be adhered. So we're going to add some adhesive on there, but we're not taking the backing off yet. Hey Deborah, nice to see you're watching. Then we'll kind of fold it all back up so we can have a visual of how it's going to be. And what I want to do is I want to create a little take a peek spot. So we're going to cut out a little hole here. So I have my basic circles thin cuts. I'm going to use the 2-inch circle, which is the middle size. And I'm going to just kind of visually line this up where I think it will look nice on my card. And I want it a little bit higher than halfway so that it's in a spot where I like it. Once I'm happy with the by guess and by golly system I've used to line that up, just going to use a piece of washi tape. Oops, shifted. You can even lay it down like that. And right about there. We're going to stick it down. I'm going to put my tape on it so that my washi is on the inside of my circle. And that way, in case my washi is really strong, it won't rip paper that I want to keep. Going to bring in my embossing and die cutting machine. And we're going to open this up so that it's only going to cut through this one panel. All the other panels are out of the way. So open it up, and we're going to run it through. I'm actually going to go through and then come back. There we go. We just got to cut out that little circle like that. And then we can get rid of this. We're all done with that. All right. And we can take our little circle out now. Now, if this washi tape comes off nicely, then we have a nice pine circle, 2-inch circle, that we can save and use on another card. And if it doesn't come off nicely, we can turn it over and use the back side. So there we go. We got a circle to save for another project. Put our die back on our sheet. And there we go. Okay, let's do a little bit more stuff on this part of the inside of the card. We're going to decorate the inside first. So on this front part here, I want to add a little bit of decoration. And one of the things that I'm going to add is some pattern paper. So I've got the lovely plaid that's in the scarlet and candy apple and pine, all from this collection. And we're going to go ahead and add some adhesive to this. This piece has been cut to 3 inches by 1 inch. So 3 inches by 1 inch. Let me just grab my, this is easier to get the sticky backing off. There we go. And I'm going to put it on about 1/4 of an inch up from the bottom of the card. So, oops, is this 3 inches? This is not 3 inches. I forgot to trim off 1/2 inch. So let me grab a little trimmer now that I've got all my adhesive on it. Yeah, that's not going to work. We're going to have to do it with the scissors. You know what? We'll stick it on, then we'll trim it off. How's that? So many choices. So we're going to put it about 1/2 inch up for the bottom, just because that's where I think it should go. And now we're keeping in mind that this little 1/2 inch tab is going to be stuck down. So we're lining this up with the edge of the crease, not with the edge of this, because that's going to disappear. So now we can just flip it over and we'll use our non-stick scissors to trim that off. There we go. Okay, and then let's also add a little bit of extra pizzazz. So we've got a little tiny 1/8 of an inch strip of gold glitter paper. Again, this is 3 inches long. Hopefully it's 3 inches long. And I'm going to stick this right above this plaid. So I always find the easiest thing to do with something that's 1/4 or 1/8 of an inch is just to put the adhesive right onto the paper. Just put a little bead of liquid glue, and then you can just go ahead and stick that right up against the paper that's already stuck down. Just like that. There we go. A nice little bit of sparkle, which is really fun when you're making a festive card, because we're making a festive card tonight. And what else do we want to do? Let's add a little bit of something from our sticker sheet. Let me just grab it. I got a couple things sitting on top of it. So I love this little bow border. And this is a nice little sticker border with all sorts of beautiful bows on it. So what I've done is I've actually taken my paper trimmer and I've cut 3 inches. And then I shifted it over again and cut it at 3 inches. So I know that these 5 little bows are a 3-inch piece, fingers crossed. And we're going to stick that on here about 1/4 of an inch from the top of the card. Maybe slightly less than the 1/4 of an inch. And we're just going to line that up and stick that down. How quick and easy is that for an embellishment? Just a nice little bit of the sticker sheet like that. Okay, now the next thing we want to do is we need to put something in our little hole here. And so what I want to do is I want to line that up so that it makes the box. See how that looks like a little rectangular box? I want to line it up like that. And you kind of got to use all your hands and everything. Make sure it's even top to bottom. And then I'm going to take my pencil and just draw a circle on the inside. Okay? We're never going to see it, so don't worry about it. We don't even need to erase it later. So now we've got a little circle drawn on there with pencil. And so I have cut out another 2-inch circle with white daisy. And we're going to go ahead and stamp this. And again, remember, we're going to be using that stamp set from the Stamp of the Month, the Happy Owlidays. So I've got the littlest owl here with his scarf and his hat. Going to bring in my intense black ink. Using this on purpose this time because I'm going to do some coloring. So I want to make sure that I can do this. All right. Now let's see if I can line them up. When I was doing the stamping earlier today, I was trying to be careful that I may put my owl on straight, and then I had to laugh at myself because it's a circle. So even though I have it on my Versamat like this, if I stamp it like that, it makes no difference. I just turn the circle. It took me a moment to realize that. I don't know. I don't know about you, but sometimes, the slowest train eventually comes into the station. I also want to stamp one of the other owls. Now, this is for the outside of the card, but while we've got our ink out, we might as well do it. So I like this one. that's got both his eyes closed. This one's kind of peeking with one eye. This one looks like he's having a nice little snuggle time here, all cozy in his hat and his scarf. So we're going to ink him up and just stamp him on there. I'm going to give him a good squish because I'm not working at the edge of my table like I usually do. There we go. And sometimes when I'm away from the edge of my table has a bit of a dip in it. And so sometimes that makes things not quite stamp quite right. But that's life. Okay, so let's do some coloring with this little guy. I want to color his hat and his scarf with some red. And this is the dark red Tri-Blend marker from Spectrum Noir. And I'm going to use the light color of the dark red. We're going dark red, but we're going to go in light. And I'm just going to go ahead and color this all in, all the little parts of his hat. And I found when I was coloring this that I don't mind the odd little bit of white when I'm coloring. And so I thought, you know what, if you kind of do each section of his hat individually, the little brim, you know, where the ribbing is, that maybe you would get those little white bits popping through and it kind of gives it a little more texture. So it's up to you if you're somebody who likes everything colored in perfectly, or whether you don't mind a little bit of white, then, you know, kind of do it for yourself. So let me just show you what that looks like, leaving a few little spots of white. Find where my camera is. So I think it just adds a little bit of texture, but some people don't like that. They want it to be all uniform. So then let's go ahead and color the scarf. We're going to use the same color again and just fill it all in like so, and do his scarf as well like that. And then I even just did some little lines on the little fringy bits like so. So that was the dark red. And then for his feet and his beak, I have the gold brown blend. And for this one, I want to use the mid color. So the gold brown blend and the mid color. And we're going to color in his little beak. So cute. And his little feet. Oh, so cute. I don't know. This is a really cute stamp of the month. I don't know about you, but I'm loving it. I think it's super sweet. All right, now I want to use my brown gray blend, and I'm going to start with the lightest color, and this is going to be to color in the owl. So basically, I'm trying to turn it, I'm going to color everything in with the light first. So just go over. One thing I want to mention is we just stamped this, and you can see that my lines and things are not being disturbed by the markers. Okay, you can just color right over the lines, and that's because we use that intense black ink. So if you've ever had trouble with stamping something and then coloring it, or using watercolor paints or something, and having those blurring and bleeding edges, try the intense black, because it really does work. I didn't wait any time before I did this. I didn't heat set it, none of that nonsense. Just went ahead and started coloring. Okay, so we've colored it all in with the lightest one. Now I'm going to switch to the mid of the brown gray, and I'm just going to color in this little spot here on his forehead. And then I'm going to do like some little shadows. Do his little eyebrows, little shadows, and even down the side of his cheek here, under his chin. I'm just kind of jiggling my marker as I go. We can even do half of his eyelid, and inside and under, and go around and under, and do the beak and under, and then under his scarf, or be a little shadow, his little hand over here, a little bit there. Very nice. Now I can just leave it like that, or I can come back with the light and just do a little swish across it to make those lines blend in a bit. It doesn't bother me one way or the other, but I'll show you what happens when you do that. There we go. There, we've kind of pretended that our light source was coming from up here. So we got light coming here, so the shadows are on this side of everything. And that is our cute little guy all done and dusted. So let's color this guy while we're working on the markers. And so the only real change is I'm going to use green for his hat and his scarf. And I'm going to use the dull green. And this is the color I find that works the nicest with that pine cardstock color. So I'm going to do the same sort of thing. I'm just going to lightly color, and if I end up with white spaces, I'm okay with that. Just adding a little texture all the way along. This one, the feathers kind of stick out in the middle of the hat. I'm not sure how that's accomplished, but that's what it does, so we'll just go along with it. And then we'll give this some color as well, like that. And then I'm going to turn it this way for his scarf. I always like to go the way my hand is naturally curving when I'm coloring. So when I did the hat, the curve of the hat is going like in a C shape, and my hand is going to naturally curve in that C shape. So the scarf is going in a C shape as well, but it's going this way. So I turn them around just to make life easier. And then we can go ahead and color that in. And it's got a bit of a stripe on it. And it's kind of odd because I don't know if it's a stripe or just a fold, but the stripe is going horizontally or lengthwise on this part of the scarf. And then on these little parts, it's actually going horizontally. So it's a little bit wayward, but you know, that's life. That's life. We're all a little weird. So I'm going to go ahead and color them so that they look a little stripy. So add a little bit of color on those fringes. And then I'm going to grab my light of the green and add a little bit of color to his pom-pom. I left this one as a white one, but this guy is going to get a little color. And then we're also going to add a little bit of that light dull green to these stripes so that it's not a stark green and white contrast. It's just green and green. There we go. Okay, and then we're going to color him the same way that we did the other one with the brown gray blend. Hey, Jennifer. Katie's here too. Hey, Katie. Nice to see you guys watching. Are you guys getting all excited about the crop starting tomorrow? Our Christmas movie marathon. I am excited. I've been feeling like I need to watch a bunch of movies, but I haven't had time. But I have seen a lot of Christmas movies in my time, so I think I'm well prepared. There we go. All down here. My brown gray is starting to run out, so I can feel that as I'm coloring. Gonna have to get another one. I use it for a lot of stuff because it's a nice soft gray as opposed to a cold gray. It's a warm gray. Now I'm going to switch to the mid and do the shading. So we'll do just this little bit of extra there, and then on the bottom of the feathers and under the edge of the hat, like that, on the bottom of the feathers, down this side of his face, and under his chin, and then we can do part of his eye, around and under his beak. Same as we did last time. It's just wash, rinse, and repeat. There we go. And then we'll do under his scarf, under his wing, and then we'll do the little feathery bits and around there. And then if we want, we can go back to the light and we can just kind of go around the parts that might want a little bit more blending happening. Because it's alcohol ink, when you go over it again, it helps to blend it together. Smooth out some of those lines. And then we also need the gold brown in the mid color. And we'll do his little beak. And feets. Beak and feets. There we go. Now, I did not get mine with thin cuts because I love to fussy cut. And so let's quickly just fussy cut out this little guy. I don't have to fussy cut the other one because I stamped him on a shape. That's one way to get around fussy cutting. If you don't get the thin cuts for your stamp of the month and you don't like fussy cutting, you can just do a shape and then it's all done for you. There we go, around his feathers. When I fussy cut, I like to pivot my paper, and when you go around something that's kind of ruffly like this, you can just jiggle, 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 and that creates a nice little textured edge. And then when you get too much extra paper, you can just snip to the edge. I always like to leave a halo of the background around it so it looks a bit like a die cut or a sticker, that sort of thing. It also keeps me from chopping off parts of the image that I don't want chopped off. There we go. Don't want our owl to lose any bits that he doesn't need to lose. There we go. So we've got our two little owls. Let's go back to our card base. And this little owl that's in the circle, we're going to add some adhesive to the back. Like so. We want them to stick down pretty good. And take the backing off. And then we have our little circle that we drew with our pencil to give us sort of an idea of where to stick them. And we can just kind of line them up. Now what I'm going to do is I'm going to line them up and I'm going to just set them down. I'm not pushing them down, I'm just setting them down. He's got a little bit stuck, but not totally stuck. And then I'm going to close this and just do a check. Just to see if he's where I want him. And yes, I like where he's at. Now I can stick him down. If I went and stuck him down real good and then decided, that's not where I want him, it would be sad. So now I can go ahead and take this adhesive off of my little 1/2-inch tab. And what I want to do is I want to collapse down this portion, pushing it to the right, like that, so that my 1/2-inch tab that's got the adhesive is still sticking up and it's tucked into the crease of the front. So now all I have to do is close the front and stick it down, and now it will be adhered where I want it. So that when I open it up, I have this little take a peek little hole so we can see inside to our cute little owl. And it's got a nice little pocket there. Now this would be super cute too if you did an embossing folder that did wood grain and you made it look like the owl was in a little bit of a tree. I thought that would be a cute idea if you're using this particular stamp. But it's super fun. It kind of looks like a little peekaboo porthole. All right, now we need a spot to do some writing inside of our card. And because I've used this dark pine, I'm bringing in a piece of Mink cardstock. And I'm just going to round the edges of this for a nice effect. Wrong scissors. I have 2 of them here. And yes, you can use a corner rounder. No, I don't use one well. So I use my scissors much better. So I just line my scissors up so that my handle is pretty much touching the paper. And I come back about 1/4 of an inch from the corner. And then I just pivot my paper as I slowly close my scissors. And that's how I do my corner rounding. So I just start it, and then I squeeze and turn, and hopefully in the right rhythm so that I get the rounded corners I want. They're not precise, but they're good enough for me. They're close enough. Then I'm also going to do a little hand-drawn line with a black pen here. Just go all the way down. The trick with this is that you use your elbow and your shoulder, and you don't use your wrist until you get to the curve, and then you got to do a little twiggle there. And pull it all the way down. I always find it's much easier to pull towards yourself. Especially, I did that well. I didn't do that part well. We'll put an embellishment on that or something. It's all good. It's a hand-drawn border. When you pull towards yourself, if you're right-handed and you're on this side, you can see where the edge is and you can see where to start and stop. I find if you do this, then you can't see around your hand to know where you're going. If you're trying to do it this way, it's much better to turn so that you can always see where you're going. Okay, let's add a little sentiment to the inside. And we've got this one from the stamp set that says, "From Owl of Us," which I think is super cute. From Owl of Us. And let's grab some pine ink for this. So we're going to carry that pine color through. Ink this up. Hopefully didn't pick up too much ink when we did that. And I'm going to just put it down here because we're going to write our message and then we're going to say "From Owl of Us." And then we can sign our names at the bottom. So that's why I'm placing it down there. And then we can go ahead and add some adhesive to this. Or if you find it easier, you can wait until you write your message and then stick it in. Just because this has got dimension to it. But saying that, you can open it flat and squish everything to the left and write your message. So you don't have to try and work with this sticking up in the air. It'll squish. We're going to remove the backing on our adhesive. Make sure we've got it the right way up. And we're going to center this on here. It would be nice if I told you what size this mink paper was. So this mink paper was a size that I didn't write down. That was helpful. So this was 2.5 by 5 inches. 2.5 by 5. So a 1/2 inch less, leaving a 1/4 inch gap all the way around. And then before we do anything else on the inside, we're going to jump to the front because this little guy is just waiting and he needs a spot to go. So we're going to jump to the front. And again, we're going to repeat that gorgeous red plaid on the front side. Grab some adhesive. The back side is this beautiful wood grain, which almost hurts that I am covering it up, but I like the plaid too. It's so sad when the two patterns are conflicting for space, right? Yes. All right. So let's stick this down. This piece is 3.5 by 3 inches. And we're going to put it 1/2 inch up from the bottom, just like we did on the inside. See if we can't get it on there straight. And then we're going to repeat the same thing as we had on the inside. We're going to add a little bit of gold glitter paper and going to use our adhesive. Now this one is 1/4 inch instead of 1/8 inch. So our paper on the front is a little bit more robust than on the inside because we have more space. Adding our adhesive there, a nice little bead, and then we'll stick this right to it like that. So this was 1/4 inch, 3.5 by 1/4 inch. Just make sure it all sticks and stays. Like so. And then I'm bringing in another piece of Mink cardstock. And for this one, we're going to do a little bit of stamping on there. But I also want to round the corners at the top. And then we're going to dovetail the bottom. So let's round the corners at the top. Like that. And this was, should have written it down too, 1 3/4 by 3 3/4. So 1 3/4 by 3 3/4. And we're going to do a little snip in the center for our dovetail. Then we're going to come from the corner to the top of that snip And then from this corner to the top of the snip. And that creates our nice little dovetail. We're going to repeat that hand-drawn look on this one. So starting here, going down. There we go. There we go. All the way around. Nice little border. I think the little borders the hand-drawn borders always look nice with little critters. I think it's because the critters kind of have that hand-drawn look. And so the borders being hand-drawn just adds a little something to it. So there we go. And we are also going to stamp on here using the Happy Owlidays sentiment. But this came as a long, straight sentiment. I just went and snipped it in half. You can totally do that. Now, my recommendation is wherever you have space, so you've got your long sentiment like this, instead of just cutting it straight up and down, if you are able to, it's nice to try and make a little chevron when you're cutting it. And that way, when you take them, you want to put them back together, there's, it's puzzle piecing it back together. There's a definite spot where it has to sit because the point of the chevron is going to fit inside the dovetailed part of the chevron. So if you can, don't just do a straight line. Try to make it so that there's a shape that you can follow when you want to stick it back in a straight line. So I'm going to use the pine ink for this as well. Ink this up. Looking good. And we're going to stamp up near the top of our little tag. Happy Owlidays. I think that's so cute. There's also warm wishes on this stamp set. And there's also a birthday one, hoping your birthday is a hoot. So we've got that all stamped up. Let's add a little bit of foam tape on the back of this. Gonna grab some foam tape. Gonna add some dimension on the outside of our card. It's hard to add dimension on the inside of this card, but we can definitely do it on the outside. Now this is a bit of substandard foam tape. Cheap and cheerful. But it's a little tiny bit thinner than our 3D foam tape. So because it's a little bit tiny bit thinner than our 3D foam tape, when I go to put my owl on, I'm going to use the good stuff. And it's a little bit thicker. So you'll see what happens here in a second. I'm going to concentrate my foam tape on the right side of my little owl. There we go. And what we're going to do is we're going to overlap onto this little tag a little bit. Right about there. Super cute. And then let's add a few more details. It's all in the details, right? Let's grab our white gel pen. We're going to do a little stitch line across the bottom. I have to replace my largest white gel pen. The gel pens come in a pack of 3, and the largest tip is a number 10. And my number 10 has finally run out because I've been using it so much. So this one's a smaller tip, and it's great for doing little highlights on things and detail work. But for stitching, I actually like the number 10, so I'm gonna have to get a new one. There we go. And then also some bling. We need to have some bling on here, and I'm going to use some red dots. So let me grab those, and let's use these little candy apple stars because owls are out at nighttime, right? So let's add a little star right there. And then let's add a little medium one here. And this helps to fill in some of the space on our tag, but it also helps to add a little bit of shine and a little bit of color onto that mink like that. And then on the inside, let's open it up and let's add a few more stars on the inside here. And because I'm running out, I'm going to use the scarlet ones for this, and that's fine because scarlet is in the collection as well. So let's add a little trio of stars on the inside. This one I'm going to put right on that glittery border. And one more right there. And I think that is our card completed. Our cute little Happy Owladays Take a Peek card using the Home for Christmas cardstock and paper and stickers and the October stamp of the month. And super cute, adding in a little bit of glitter paper, a little bit of the red dots, some hand-drawn details, coloring with the tri-blend markers, and then we have that cute little peekaboo spot which stands up, creates a nice little display, and there he is, our little winky owl in there, snuggled in for a night's sleep, although owls sleep in the daytime, but well, we'll just ignore that. And then, of course, a nice little spot for writing our message on the inside. Super cute. I hope you guys enjoyed seeing that come together. If you want, you can even add, little extra pizzazz here and there, but I think that is super cute. And again, the finished size is 3.5 by 5.5, so it fits in a standard size card and, standard size envelope. So I hope you enjoyed that and have a wonderful rest of the evening. And I look forward to seeing you joining me for the crop that starts tomorrow. Christmas movie marathon. Have a wonderful night. We'll see you again soon. Toodaloo. Bye.